Hey guys, it's Lee Clements here with MediaUnlocked.net. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the Canon 5D Mark IV, Canon's latest iteration of their 5D line. This was sent to us by our friends over at B&H Photo. David and I have been working with it for quite some time now. David shot a couple weddings. I've been running around shooting as much video as I can, putting it through its paces, putting it in my rig, shooting with it out. And I just wanted to kind of talk to you a little about my impressions of it. I think David will hop in here and tell you later what he thinks about it. A little background for me: I'm an early adopter. I bought a Canon 5D Mark II when it 6 or 7 months after it came out. So I've been on the Canon train for a while. I wouldn't call myself a fanboy, but personally, I just like Canon. I like the brand. I've had really good experiences with all of their cameras personally. I like their lenses. I have met several people at the company and have been duly impressed with their knowledge and their customer service. So coming into the Mark IV, obviously I'm a little biased, but you know, this camera has shown itself to be a very, very powerful professional level camera. We've really been putting it through its paces. And I have been just impressed with the cleanliness of the image. Every time that Canon comes out with a new processor, obviously they increase their ISO. As they've been building up their cinema line, a lot of that has kind of bled over into the DSLR line as well. So this camera, where my Mark II wasn't much good above 1600 ISO, this camera looks good up to 6400, and then you've got your expanded ISO settings up to 102,400. That is insane. We've got some other videos up online, low light comparisons with this and the C100 Mark II, which is another Canon Canon camera that came out slightly before this. A lot of the same ISO technology from the Mark II shows up in here. Another thing I'm super impressed with is the amount of customization that you've got now in this camera. Specifically, you know, you've got the My Menu settings, which you're seeing a lot of Canon cameras with that option now, where you can build specifically to what you want. If you don't want to dig through the menus to find, say, the mirror lockup function or the card format function or any of that stuff, you can make your own menu with multiple tabs, and it's all right there under your fingertips. The autofocus customization in this is insane. I don't use autofocus that much. I just went through that menu, was just blown away by how precise you can get with that. I think part of that comes from Canon being a lens company as well as a camera company. The way that they can integrate all of their technology is only going to get better from here, especially where they've got so many options and they keep coming out with so many lenses. The full frame looks as good as ever. We've got a megapixel increase in this one to 30 megapixels, up from the 5D Mark III, which was 22 or 26 megapixels, and my Mark II, which I think was 21 megapixels. So we've had a pretty significant jump in the megapixel count. Obviously not the 5DS or 5DR at 40 and 50 megapixels, but that's not something that I need personally. 30 megapixels of raw image is plenty. The dual pixel RAW functionality is really cool. I didn't use it personally because I wasn't shooting stills, and I don't think it's really something that I need. But again, that the functionality is there is impressive. One of the major additions that Canon brought to this camera that a lot of other cameras in the market have had, they added 4K to this recording. Downside is there's a little bit of a crop when you're shooting in 4K, but you're going to have a lot of compromises when you're cramming that much image into a processor this size. So a little bit of a crop to get 4K, not that big of a deal to me. We've added, as I said, a considerable amount of customization. Your dual pixel CMOS autofocus. That's a nice thing. We have it in the cinema line. We're starting to see it now in the DSLR line for shooting video with autofocus on. which is helpful on gimbals or smaller gimbals, especially where you may not have the weight available to put a remote follow focus system on. You've got a lot of new features inside that I think the 5D Mark III might have had, but they obviously have just gotten better since then. You've got HDR shooting, both in video and in stills. You've got now a multi-exposure mode in stills, which is very cool, to kind of protect your highlights or protect your low areas, just giving you more options and more dynamic range. We've had a boost in our frames per second as well. We're up to 7 now, and that's at RAW. That's full RAW. That's RAW and JPEG. You've got a 14 frame buffer. So that's 2 seconds of continuous shooting if you're shooting at RAW, which is pretty cool. To kind of have that option available is very neat, especially if you're outside and you've got your shutter speed low. You're not going to get any blur, or shutter speed high, I should say. You're not going to get any blur in that. Upgraded to USB 3, which is small but noticeable. If you're in a situation where you don't have a card reader, then the USB 3 option in the camera is considerably better than USB 2. Some of the other features that have been added, we've got up to 60 frames at 1080 now, and they've got a high frame rate mode, which is 120 frames shooting at 720p. So starting to see some of the options that were showing up on paper and other cameras at this level. But you've got Canon's color science behind it. You've got Canon's codec and all of that stuff. They're finally, bringing 4K and higher frame rates into the fold. So that's exciting to kind of see where they're going to go from here. Hopefully next time we won't have to wait 4 years between iterations for the Mark V. Dual card functionality, which was present on the Mark III, but had a slight limitation where you were limited to a certain speed by your SD slot. That limitation is gone, or at least has been raised considerably. So you can record to both cards simultaneously. You can roll from one to the other if you're in a situation where you need a lot of shooting time. If you're shooting stills, you can record RAW to your CF card and your JPEGs to your SD card, or vice versa. Some really neat functionality there. Added a couple of buttons. We've got 61-point autofocus, which is huge and selectable across all points. You can, again, as I mentioned, you've got a considerable amount of customization on that autofocus point. Canon has also incorporated Wi-Fi, near-field communication, and GPS into the camera standard. You don't need an adapter like you did with the Mark III. So you've got a lot of functionality in a body that is actually just a hair smaller and a hair lighter than the Mark III. This is Canon's newest 5D. It's to the same professional standard that Canon always has. It may not be, for the price, the same camera as some other manufacturers, as a Sony or as a Panasonic. But they all do different things. They're all different tools that you need to use the way that you want to use them. This is a tool that I like to use. I like Canon's color. I like the options that I have. I like the EF mount and the glass that I've invested, obviously. It's been, as I said, I've been with Canon for a long time, so my bias comes through, but this is a really impressive camera. There's a lot of things that it affords that if you're staying in the Canon line, and if you're staying in the professional series, there's a great deal at this camera that is that's totally worth the upgrade. Up next, we've got David, who's going to go over his experience with the camera. He shot a wedding or two, and just wanted to kind of give you guys the impression of what it's like as someone who's shooting both stills and video, but primarily stills.
Hey guys, I'm David with MediaUnlock.net. I guess Lee just got finished talking to you about his impressions. Now, as you probably figured out by listening to him, he is more of a videographer than he is photographer, where I kind of tend to lean towards the photography aspect and the still aspect versus the video aspect. So Lee did a lot of video over the last month with this, and he had a lot of fun. And I did a fair amount of photography with this and had a lot of fun over the last month. As Lee mentioned, I actually got to shoot a couple weddings with it, and I was really, really impressed. Now, I guess the biggest thing that jumped out to me as a photographer at a wedding that just really makes me consider actually buying this camera, selling a few items and getting rid of some older bodies and picking this up is because the ISO capabilities. The ISO capabilities on it was fantastic. And I got some really nice clean pictures at ISOs of 4,000 and 5,000. 4,000 really kind of felt like it was the max, but there were a few pictures that I grabbed with the right lighting that I was able to get some really nice pictures at about a 5,000 ISO. So I was still really happy with that. It was really nice to have the dual card functionality. Something that Lee didn't mention is one of the nice things is that the 4K is just going to take up a ton of footage. It's going to take up a lot of stuff on your SD card and a lot on your CF card. So you can put 225, 128, or 256 gig SD cards and CF cards, and it's going to give you a lot more room to fill that up for your 4K. So you're going to be able to put more 4K footage with that dual SD and CF card slot. Back to the wedding though. So great ISO capabilities. Another thing that I really found is that the autofocus was like, I mean, it was so quick. So it was so nice being at a wedding and being able to get super quick autofocus, even with a flash mounted on or off the camera. I was still getting pretty quick autofocus. This really helped on catching certain moments that you can't be missing when you're shooting a wedding, that you have to be prepared for. And this camera really, really helped me out with that. Lee kind of covered, I guess, a little bit of everything else. I just had so much fun using this. This is the first Canon camera that they put out in the last 3 or 4 years that I've really considered picking up. If they ever come out with a 6D Mark II, I've been using a 6D for three or 4 years now. I love my Canon 6D. But this is the first Canon camera that I really think might be worth the upgrade for myself. I see that it has a lot of uses and functionality. It also, I think they upped the frame rate for pictures by 2. I think it went from 5 to 7 frames per second, if I'm not correct. And how fast you could catch RAW. So if you have a faster SD card, you're going to be able to catch quite a few RAW files back to back to back, around 20 something before it buffs out, which is really going to be great for anybody that does sports photography. So all in all, I was really, really happy with the Canon Mark IV. Now, again, it's been 3-4 years since they put out an iteration of this body. So there's been a lot of upgrades, and I do think that looking at getting this upgrade, if you have the Mark III or the Mark II, is something that is worth looking at. The price is about the same as every one of them when they come out, $3,500, and I think it goes for about $40, $42 when you get the 24 to 105 lens with it. So I was really happy with the camera, a lot of fun. A few things to mention. We're going to throw a little bit of footage after this so you can actually check out some of the video footage that we shot. I'm also going to add in a few of the pictures from the wedding so you can get an idea, and I'll throw the settings of those pictures on there so you can actually see the settings that were used, the high ISO, and the quality and cleanliness of the pictures. It was really impressive with the ISO. Also, we have an unboxing video. We did a walkthrough of all the functions and buttons of this camera. What we try to do with most new bodies that we get from B&H is we try to actually take the manual, throw it out, and we try to walk you through it. Now, this one is really in-depth. This is the most in-depth one I think we've done yet. Lee really takes his time and walks you through it. So it's going to be anywhere from 4 to like 6 videos, and it's probably going to be close to an hour and a half to 2 hours long. But it's going to break this camera down for you, and you're going to really get a good feel of how to use it and what all the buttons and functions do outside and inside with the menus. So we'll add links to the unboxing video, we'll add links to the walkthrough video, and of course, we're also going to add a link to B&H if you are interested in picking this up or at least checking it out. There'll be a link, and if you do buy it, it really does help us out we do get a little bit of commission, and that does help us out. Nothing that you have to do, but we'd appreciate it if you did it. Also, check us out on Facebook at Media Unlocked. Anyways, guys, thanks for stopping in. I'll catch you next time. Hey guys, if you'd like to check out our website where we have all kinds of fun and exciting blogs, videos, and extra information that isn't on our YouTube page, click right here. If you'd like to talk to us or contact us and kind of take a look at all the different stuff that we have going on, we've kind of funneled it all through our Facebook. You can hit our Facebook page right here and follow us or like us. Now, if you like to look at cool pictures and behind the scenes stuff, we do that on Instagram right here. So go on and follow us on Instagram. And of course, we got our cute little bird right here, Mr. Twitter, and you can follow us as we do our short tweets.